Rejection isn't about you. Reprogramming your emotional response. Rejection is one of the most universal human experiences, yet it can feel intensely personal and isolating. The sting of a turned-down job application, an unreciprocated affection, or even a declined invitation can leave us questioning our worth and replaying what we might have done wrong. But what if this pain, this deep ache in the pit of your stomach, is not just a metaphorical wound? Neuroscience shows us that rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical injury. When UCLA researcher Naomi Eisenberger studied the brains of people experiencing social rejection, she observed activity in the anterior cingulate cortex and the right ventral prefrontal cortex, the very same regions engaged when we suffer physical pain. In other words, rejection literally hurts. This pain response isn't a flaw in your design. It's a survival mechanism, hardwired over thousands of generations. For our ancestors, acceptance by the group was a matter of life and death. To be cast out from the tribe meant losing access to protection, food, and companionship. Social rejection threatened survival, so our nervous system evolved to treat it as an emergency, flooding us with distress signals to steer us back toward belonging. Even today, in our hyper-connected world, these ancient alarm bells go off at the first sign of exclusion, regardless of whether the stakes are truly life-threatening. But here's a perspective that can fundamentally shift your relationship to rejection. Most rejection isn't about you. It's not a referendum on your value, your talent, or your likability. Decades of research in social psychology reveal that the decisions people make, whom to hire, whom to date, whom to befriend, are shaped by a dizzying array of factors, most of which have nothing to do with you at all. The person who turned down your job application might have been having a bad day, facing a quota to fill, or simply had another candidate who reminded them of a friend. The person who didn't respond to your text could be overwhelmed, preoccupied with personal issues, or dealing with insecurities of their own. Preferences, timing, unconscious biases, competing priorities, and even the weather can all influence these decisions. Yet your brain interprets rejection as a direct threat to your self-worth. This isn't just a quirk, it's a consequence of how our minds are wired. Consider the power of confirmation bias, the tendency to focus on evidence that confirms our fears and beliefs. When we're rejected, our minds spotlight those moments, playing them on repeat, while glossing over times when we were accepted or celebrated. The no's burn brighter in our memory than the yeses because negative experiences are encoded more strongly. You might receive dozens of compliments, but find yourself haunted by a single criticism. Our brains are like Velcro for negativity and Teflon for positivity.
Another mental trap that amplifies the pain of rejection is the fundamental attribution error. When we experience rejection, we instinctively blame ourselves, attributing it to some perceived flaw or shortcoming. We think, I wasn't good enough, or there's something wrong with me. But when we're on the other side of the equation, when we have to turn someone down, we recognize all the situational factors at play: bad timing, lack of chemistry, incompatible goals, or just being too busy. We rarely see others' rejections of us with the same nuance and understanding we grant ourselves when we're the rejecter. To break free from this cycle, it's essential to reprogram your emotional response to rejection. Start by recognizing it for what it is, not a verdict on your worth, but feedback about compatibility, timing, or circumstance. Each rejection is data, information about what doesn't fit, not a judgment about who you are. The most resilient people see rejection as redirection, not condemnation. They understand that every no is a necessary step on the path to a better yes. Every closed door eliminates a mismatch and brings them closer to the right opportunity, the right relationship, or the right community. Reframing rejection starts with self-compassion. When you feel the pain of exclusion, notice the hurt, but remind yourself that your value is not on trial. You are not defined by someone else's inability to see your worth, or by the opportunities that didn't work out. Practice speaking to yourself as you would to a friend. Offer kindness, understanding, and reassurance. Remember that everyone faces rejection, and it's rarely as personal as it feels. It's also helpful to challenge the stories you tell yourself about rejection. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" try asking, "What can I learn from this? What factors beyond my control might have been at play?" This shift moves you from self-criticism to curiosity, opening the door to growth rather than shame. Building resilience in the face of rejection means embracing it as an inevitable part of any meaningful pursuit. The more you stretch, risk, and reach for new opportunities, the more likely you are to encounter no's. But it's precisely this willingness to risk disappointment that puts you in the path of yes. Every successful person, from artists and entrepreneurs to athletes and leaders, has a trail of rejections behind them. What sets them apart is not immunity to pain, but a refusal to let rejection dictate their sense of self. Over time, you can cultivate a mindset where rejection becomes less of a personal blow and more of a neutral event. It's not about becoming numb or indifferent, but about placing rejection in its proper context. You can acknowledge the discomfort, process the experience, and move forward without letting it erode your confidence or self-respect. Ultimately, the key to reprogramming your response to rejection is remembering that your worth is inherent and unchanging. It's not subject to the shifting opinions or decisions of others. The pain you feel is real, rooted in your biology and your history, but it doesn't have to define your narrative. With awareness, self-compassion, and a willingness to learn, rejection can become not an indictment, but a guide. A signal that you're stretching beyond your comfort zone in pursuit of what truly fits. So the next time you face rejection, pause and remember, it's not about you. It's a reflection of circumstance, preference, and timing, a confluence of factors far beyond your control. Treat each no as information, not a verdict, and let it move you forward, ever closer to the opportunities and connections that are truly meant for you.